No problem. And don't worry, if it goes to 12:05, 12:10, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
we'll relax
Thank
and
you.
have a good chat.
All right. So I think it's 11:05, and we should officially start this
Yes.
first of its kind fireside chat at the transfer office. So a very late good morning to all participants. I'm Sam, and I welcome you all to this fireside chat organized by the Tech Transfer Office at KIT TBI Bhubaneswar. Today we have with us Dr. Anandkumar, and he would be shedding light on the topic building the path for technology transfer and commercialization. Now, before we get into the topic and I start introducing the guest and the moderator for today's chat, I would like to say a few words about KIT TBI as an institute, the Tech Transfer Office, and then we will subsequently move on to this chat show. So KIT TBI started back in 2009 as an initiative of KIT with the humble support of Department of Science, Technology, DST, Government of India. KIT TBI has always strived to boost the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country and has become the epicenter for technology startups and entrepreneurs in the eastern and northeastern regions of India by creating impactful, innovative, and successful enterprises. KIT TBI was the recipient for the National Award for Technology Business Incubator of the Year back in 2017. Following the success, KIT TBI has also received the Center of Excellence tag for incubation and entrepreneurship by DST, Government of India, and has been ranked the #1 bioincubator in the private sector by Biospectrum in 2019 and 2020 consecutively. Tech Transfer Office, on the other hand, this is a mandate from the National Biopharma Mission, BIRAC. All the Northeast states, as well as Odisha and Chhattisgarh, come under the jurisdiction of the Tech Transfer Office. In brief, the Tech Transfer Office scouts for technologies, evaluates the technologies, helps in technology development to increase the technology readiness level, provides IP protection facilities, and eventually facilitates transfer to the right industry partners. Or in other words, we facilitate licensing of the technologies. So we bring technologies from the lab to the industries. So with this introduction to the Institute and the Tech Transfer Office, I would like to introduce the guest for today's Fireside Chat show, Dr. Anandkumar. He's the co-founder and CEO at Bugworks. He's also the vice president for ABLE, the Association of Biotech-Led Enterprises. He's also the member of India Advisory Board for the Global Antibiotic Research and Development Partnership. Dr. Anandkumar has more than 30 years of work experience in the field of semiconductor, electronic design, automation, biotech, and pharmaceutical industries. He's the founder of Cellworks, iShield, Impress Health, and Escape Velocity Accelerator, and has C-suite experience in US, India, China, and Japan. He believes in the highest standard of corporate governance in running an organization and is deeply committed to making a difference to this world. His specialties cover the semiconductor biopharma industry with emphasis in setting up, managing international operation, particularly out of India and China. He's also involved in managing operations, research and development, business development, and sales channels. Dr. Anand's work experience in the semiconductor and EDA industry included Hughes Network Systems, Cadence Design System, Spin Circuit, which is now acquired by Cadence, and Magma Design Automation India, which is now acquired by Synopsys India Automation. Dr. Anand is also the managing trustee for Child, which is a home for children orphaned by HIV. Currently, he is co-founding CEO at Bugworks. It's a US-India-based company solving global antibiotic crisis using novel techniques to design next-generation antibiotics. Prior to Bugworks, he was the co-founder for Cellworks. It's a company that pioneered the use of computational biology for personalized cancer care. His education includes, he finished his BTech in Electronics and Communication, and he finished his MS and PhD in Electrical and Biomedical Engineering from George Washington University. Now I switch to our moderator, Dr. Suar, who's the R&D General for KIT University and is also the CEO for KIT TBI. So with this short introduction, I would ask Dr. Suar to take stage and go ahead with the fireside chat with Dr. Anandkumar. Please, sir.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. So I think let me welcome Anandkumar to this fireside chat. Anand, I think I know you since long. I have been trying to invite you to our KTBI, but never could succeed. And today, because of this COVID time, at least you could accept our invitation to be part of this fireside session. Let me tell you, Anand, I'm a big fan of you. And so what many of our startups in Bhubaneswar are a big fan of you because you are a very powerful, impactful, and contentful speaker. And you bring always possibilities. I think no is not in their diary. I think a lot of these people today, the startup companies, and they've been doing good. Some of them are struggling. Some of them are building startups, companies. And I think we have a lot of learning. We'll have a lot of learning from your talks, your conversations. With that, let me tell you that you have built from engineering degree to companies which are not engineering based, or maybe engineering based, but more towards biotechnology. It might have several interesting journeys. So I think every journey is a story, and you are a powerful storyteller. I'll be requesting Anand to tell our participants, the audience today, the interesting story you have.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to meet the KIT team. I have the utmost respect for what Mrityunjay and you guys have done, and I don't say that just to falsely flatter it, because it's not easy to build a biotech ecosystem from anywhere. Even from Bangalore, it's difficult, and for you all to do it from Odisha, hats off. So when excellence comes out from places like Odisha, we have to appreciate it even more, because if it happens in Bangalore, it's part of the backdrop. So what you guys are doing is unique. India needs many more of these layers of biotech. So hats off to Mrityunjay. I've been following your work for many years through Satya Dash, through Dr. Renu Swarup, etc. So I have the utmost respect for you guys. And I promise to visit you all and potentially conduct a 1 or 2 day workshop helping you guys do pitching, etc. Post pandemic, I promise to come there, because Bhubaneswar is a place I wanted to visit, so I give my word for it. Okay, what is life without exciting journeys, right? And just to spend 3 minutes on my journeys, Mrityunjay, for the question that you asked, I'm from Chennai, and then I went to the US to do my PhD in electrical biomedical engineering, and I couldn't find work in biomedical sciences. I'm an engineer, so I took to microelectronics and got into microelectronics, which is a hot space. As all of you know, computer chips are ubiquitous. They fit in every application, and I was fortunate to work on satellite communication and also to work on iPod, which is the very first music device that Apple had built, as a chip designer for it. And then I came back to India and I did a couple of companies in the electronic space, which is much easier to build than biotech. And through naivety or some romantic ideas, in 2007, I completely shifted from semiconductor to the biotech industry. That happened because I had some amazing personal challenges in my life. I'm a cancer survivor, not once, but twice. I had a cardiac issue when I was 35. So great success in the corporate ladder, but I got knocked out, not twice, but potentially 3 times. And you have one of two choices when you're faced with impediments in life. Either take self-pity, or to say, to hell with it. I got a great opportunity to do something that nobody else can. And I chose the latter. And I decided to get into healthcare and biotech. And in my 40s, started studying basic biochemistry, and didn't know what is Krebs cycle till I was 40. So started studying that and put together a company called Cellworks, ladies and gentlemen, where we use engineering algorithms to simulate Michaelis-Menten equations. So I had to sit down with the basic biochemistry students to understand basic, KM, KCATs, and start from that level. If you're open to learning, and you know that there's no stupid questions to ask, and you're constantly adapting yourself and learning, it opens up amazing possibilities in life. That is the key aspect of my journey. Cellworks happened. While we were in Cellworks, I started looking at AMR. I realized India is in deep trouble and nobody cares to solve our own problems, because AMR is not a lucrative space like cancer or diabetes or Alzheimer's. So we decided to do a broad spectrum antibiotic company. And here I am, and I'm very, very happy to know that KIT is looking at diagnostics and hopefully devices. Drug discovery is very difficult. Even for mature areas like Hyderabad and Bangalore, we are struggling for drug discovery because we need scale up manufacturing capacities, etc. So Mrityunjay, I'm really happy to see that you're trying to make a specialty for yourself. So as we speak through it, I'd like to understand more. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I started from engineering, moved into cancer biology, and then when I was almost 50 years old, opened up and understood from Wikipedia what is microbiology. And so even now, my knowledge of science is very minimal. I work with outstanding people. I never interfere with the people who work with us. And I realized to have a successful science company, you need a non-science person at the helm of it, because scientists are too inward focused and we carry too much baggage with ourselves. So to have a multidisciplinary team with completely different crazy ways and ideas can cause success, right? So it's something I'll come back to again as we speak through.
Thank you. I think that's quite interesting to start with. You said, also the introduction, I said, Dr. Anand is always brings possibilities. And that's what he said. If you have open mind, you want to learn, I think you can achieve a lot of things with that. Anand, you said you are from engineering degree. And if you look at me and many of my colleagues, we study bachelor's, master's, BTech, MTech, then you go for a job or maybe PhD, the similar lines. Now you said, electronics, telecommunications, communications field entered to biotech and drug discovery. Biotech, I understand, but drug discovery, which I think we don't talk about it, very high capex. Oh my God. I think what has driven you to do that? This is very high risk.
Correct.
What is
very good question? Very good question, and no easy answers. So I did it in two steps, Mrityunjay. First step was Cellworks. Cellworks is a computational biology platform company that's now using artificial intelligence, machine learning. It's the largest proteomic, genomic, transcriptomic database in the world, which is used by cancer hospitals to simulate the best treatment for that particular patient, right? It's called personalized cancer therapy, right? That is not drug discovery. That is using computational biology and using machine learning, artificial intelligence, and converting biochemistry into pathways that can be simulated. Mrityunjay, I must tell you that I was inspired in London when I was traveling in the tube. In the London tube, it's a very complex tube system. And if there is a block anywhere in their metro system, in every train station, they have a pathway diagram, which is like a huge biochemical pathway diagram that says that you have alternate pathways and there are blocks happening, etc. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the inspirations for us to come and create Cellworks, which is to do pathway analysis. So you can actually study how the drugs are going through apoptosis, angiogenesis, tumor microenvironment, metastatic pathways, and then do combination studies, etc. Once Cellworks started picking up, Mrityunjay, I did not want to do drug discovery because I don't even know how to spell it. But what happened is the follows. We worked on a tuberculosis project in Cellworks. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you this because you never know what path leads where. If you keep an open mind and if you have a team with orthogonal disciplines of people inside, not just all PhDs in biochemistry, right? Because then the thought process is too staid. So we started working with AstraZeneca in India. So you see, from Cellworks, I entered AstraZeneca. And they're like, who are you? You're a bloody electrical engineer. And just before I enter that meeting for AstraZeneca, I do Google search of what is cytokine, what is inflammation, IL-2, what is this phosphorylation. Basically from that level, so you don't sound like a total idiot when you're going for these meetings, but you're willing to learn and you have that energy and you have a passion that drives you. We started modeling TB in Cellworks, and I convinced AstraZeneca to do the testing. You see, how from modeling, we do the modeling, we convinced a pharmaceutical company to do the testing. Testing went very well for drug-resistant TB. And at the same time, AstraZeneca closed its operation in 2013 because of reorg. I put up my hand to my board and I said, let's go to a drug discovery company. Suddenly, fantastic drug discovery people are available in AstraZeneca. My madness and passion to solve India's problem to create a new antibiotic to take out superbugs. That's it. Now, I still don't know whether we'll finally succeed within this, so I don't want to call myself success. But his success is defined by going after the audacious goal of solving your own problems and not waiting for somebody to solve our problems. Then we are a success.
Thank you. I think, that's what our session name is, building the path. So I think you're creating the path. How far you will walk, I don't know, but so far it's quite exciting, interesting for us to follow you. I think, as you said, cytokinesis, angiogenesis, the electronics person talking about this biological stuff. I think, AMI is a big problem. and you should give the audience about some knowledge about AMR and why India is becoming the epicenter of AMR, and why big companies, like if I look at the big pharma companies, not putting any investment here, no money. Can I request Mr. Alok Srivastava to mute? Somebody should mute him.
No problem.
Sorry, sometimes it happens.
That's okay.
So
Perfectly fine.
so I think my question is why big companies are not putting in such exciting, which is a global perspective. Why they're not putting investment, and
Great.
why you are the game?
Excellent. Wow, these are all tough questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to keep it very simple. Antimicrobial resistance simply means whether it's a bacteria or a virus or fungus, the more you use an antibiotic or antiviral or antifungal, organisms figure out escape paths. Simple evolutionary intelligence that predates Homo sapiens. What has happened is the best Alexander Fleming came out with penicillin in the 1920s, ladies and gentlemen, and the first antibiotic penicillin appeared in 1940s in World War II, and it saved countless lives. Before that, we were dying like flies to simple infections. Antibiotics came in 1940s, everything changed, the whole world changed, right? It's a single most important innovation to mankind that changed our average age from 20 something to 40 something. Changed humanity's age from 20 something to 40 something. Our average age went up. The 1950s, 60s, 70s, Mrityunjay, had phenomenal drugs. All the aminoglycosides, macrolides, penicillins, fluoroquinolones, everything happened that time. And then antibiotics did very well and became very cheap and became generics. And there was no new drug discovery that happened after 1970s. Cut to 2020. Countries like India have become the epicenter for antimicrobial resistance. Why is that? We abuse antibiotics as a society. We don't need prescription. We take antibiotics, take it for 2 days, 3 days, stop. We don't know the quality of the antibiotics being produced. Our manufacturers are dumping antibiotic waste into water streams and soil streams. So we are exposing the enemy at many levels to the few little bullets you have. When the enemies know your bullets, they know how to dodge your bullets. And the more you show the bullet, you're not really firing, but you're showing the bullet, putting it in the pocket, showing the bullet, putting it in the pocket, it creates resistance. So today in India, we have drug resistance of 70 to 80% for frontline antibiotics. And Mrityunjay, the last 18 months, this has become much worse post-COVID, because COVID in 1 year, 1.5 years, 30, 40, 50 million people in our country have taken antibiotics.
Yes,
Azithromycin, amoxicillin. So never before in modern history of India, in a 1 year period, you have tens and tens of millions of people suspected of COVID, real COVID, no COVID, prophylactic, taking antibiotics. So we have promoted resistance and there is no new innovation. Why is there no new innovation? Coming out with a new antibiotic is very difficult, ladies and gentlemen. You all are scientists. There are only few druggable targets in the bacteria. And then if you hit the target, you need a safe drug. Antibiotics are typically 1 gram a day, 1.5 grams a day, the big fat tablets, which means the safety thresholds are very hard compared to a 5 milligram tablet or a 10 milligram tablet. Big pharmaceutical companies spent billions of dollars and failed and closed shop in the 1980s and 1990s, saying, not my problem. It's not a Western country problem. Some third world countries are having antimicrobial resistance. I'm making much more money in cancer and diabetes and hypertension. Why deal with all this headache? Plus, antibiotics becomes generics. Then the poor countries like India wanted cheap, free. Why get into this? Within the just why they walked away. And now today, 95% of innovation in the world, ladies and gentlemen, 95% of innovation in the world in antimicrobial resistance, particularly antibacterials, are small companies like Bugworks. We must be crazy, must be audacious, but that is the type of passion required to want to crack this problem, which is so difficult science-wise and equally difficult economic-wise. But our innovation is not just in science. Our innovation is connecting Bugworks to the whole world. Don't forget, as scientists, you think that innovation is only in our protein and in our gene sequences. The ability to put together international companies, the ability to connect with various competencies all over the world, the ability to have a company of only 20 people inside and outsourcing to collaborators and partners everywhere. That is also innovation, innovation in execution, innovation in ecosystem, innovation in business practices are as important as the innovation in science.
That's well said. That's well said. I think, I got something from you that you said you didn't have much knowledge about Krebs cycle. This was, something Latin for you. Then you said, I don't know the drug discovery, what it means, how to spell drug discovery. Then enter into cell works and bug works, right? So what is your vision about the bug works? Because you said 1980s, the software closed, the industry stopped all these activities. I know some, I'll not name them, even some Indian companies ventured into it and then they prematured, they stopped it. So why, what is the vision behind this bug works and how you want to go in this?
Beautiful question. The mission behind Bugworks is, ladies and gentlemen, the last new antibiotic, broad spectrum antibiotic, happened in the 1960s, around the time I was born, that old. There's been no new innovation. 1 million people die every year. That is 10 lakh deaths every year because of hospital-acquired infection, of which approximately 35 to 40% is in our country, in our backyard. So 3 to 4 lakh people every year on year, before pandemic, post-pandemic, doesn't matter, are dying of antimicrobial resistance. So that's what drove us, Mrityunjay, to try to come out with a brand new broad spectrum. And most foreign companies think of India after 10 years, 20 years. After they make a lot of money abroad, they say, oh, there is India, let's go.
So, yeah.
As an afterthought. And then we have lost too many people in 10 years, 20 years. For us, we will ensure that this product potentially gets launched here. Having said that, I'm fully aware how difficult it is to do it. You can't be foolishly passionate. You have to be pragmatically passionate, right? You have to be pragmatically passionate. So, Mrityunjay, we want to be able to take this asset at least to phase 2. That means you complete safety studies, which we are doing in Australia, because India is not a good place to do phase 1. It needs advanced centers to do phase 1. In India, some NGO will come after us saying that we're treating Indians like guinea pigs. I don't want to deal with that. So you do your phase 1 outside, come to India for phase 2, and potentially launch the drug in India. Why are we doing this drug in India? For hospital-acquired pneumonia, ventilator-acquired pneumonia. It is taking too many people. And you should know, ladies and gentlemen, we lose 230,000, 236,000 children to sepsis. And just because it doesn't get recorded as AMR, it doesn't mean it's not happening, right? Because our recording procedures are not very, very formal, as you all know. So that's why what we want to do. We want to take something up to phase 2, partner with a big pharma company, hopefully, or go all the way alone ourselves to market, at least in countries like India and South Africa, where the load is high, and then partner with a pharmaceutical company, which is not easy to do, but we hope to do so for foreign countries.
Correct. So are you now alone as a bug work or somebody else is working with you as organizations?
Excellent. By the way, Bugworks is not just my company. We are funded by Japanese investors, South African investors, potentially Swiss investors, and United States government. Within India, we've been supported by governments all over the world because this is a tough problem. And our assets are not just for AMR. We are also for bioterrorism solutions. So we are working.
So Anand, can you tell our starter about this? From the journey of beginning to so far, how different international government also supported your thought process?
Thank you very much. I think that is a very, 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 very good question. Right now, we don't have a pharmaceutical partner, but we are working with governments. I want this audience to know, and I'll be very direct. We couldn't find anyone to fund a drug discovery company in AMR. So somehow, through business development skills, I raised the first $1 million through family and friends, right? Thankfully, they're still my friends. And then we realized we have to write grants. And what we did was the senior people, we have one person in the team is just for grants. And we wrote all the international grants, Bill and Gates Foundation, Wellcome Trust, United States government. Go into areas that's outside your comfort zone. BIG, big, is only Biotech Ignition Grant. We got the first 50 lakhs. And then we got a BIPP for another 50 lakhs. That's it, 1 crore, 1.5 crores. And I'm deeply thankful to DBT for that initial support. Deeply thankful to DBT that CCAMP, where we are based, is a DBT organization. So DBT has done a great job. But it's not the responsibility of DBT to raise my funding. All the grant agencies are only to do that early support. After that, we need to learn to stand on our own, which means we have to be absolutely aggressive. And I hope the founders of your company will not focus on science. One of the founders of the company has to only focus on fundraising. The CEO is not chief executive officer, it's chief ecosystem officer. So you have to connect to all the ecosystems in the world, and we wrote so many grants. And to date, we have raised 15 million, 15 million.
Once
So
more, once more. How much is that?
15 million is roughly about 110 crores.
Oh, wow.
We have
Great.
raised 15 million through grants because there's a large grant called Carbex out of the United States government for AMR. But I know companies, other companies in India right now, slowly writing for grants everywhere. Don't feel shy. Write to Howard Hughes Foundation, write to Rockefeller Foundation, write to Bill Gates Foundation, write to Richard Branson, who runs Virgin Atlantic in London. I have done all those things. Let your ego and let your shame behind if you want to do a startup in biotech, and reach out to grants. So we are almost 50-50, Mrityunjay, equity and grants. We have raised
Okay.
18 million, 18 million through equity and about 15 million through grants. So total fundraise to date is 33 million, and we are going through a fundraiser round now for another 15 million, which is still small money compared to Boston and Bay Area, but it's significant from an Indian perspective.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think this is not a small money, to be very honest with you, because people like our startup, they look at BIG. Of course, BIG gave you a ignition part of it. I think you could really
Yes.
do something. They took
Yes.
other part of Indian fund, but going out of India, going out of DBT or BIRAC, then you reached out to many agencies. I think what I can tell you that you are not only an outstanding speaker. I think you are a very good grant writer. I don't know who writes grant for you. I'll be requesting you to please, national level, please tell our startup how to even write grants in the next session maybe. But that's the
Yes.
way the
Yes.
startup fails, right? They are limited to only 50 lakhs to 1 crore.
Correct. And
So
you can't depend on DBT. Just, you can't run a
yes,
company just based on that. So please have somebody in the team. And I think you should do a grant workshop sometime at KIT. And one of my guys,
yeah,
Dr. Basanti, she's fantastic in writing grants at AstraZeneca and now at Bugworks. Maybe she could do a small tutorial for your team. That's
that's
a good
great.
takeaway.
That's a great. I think grant writing for government agencies is different kind. And when you reach out to industries to support you, let's say equity based, it's not really mature technology. You're still discovering a lot of undiscovered part of it, and you don't know what is going to happen in next stage. Will you get the
Yes.
right molecule, or you have bunch of molecules and you're confused? So, how do you reach out to industries and they really buy your ideas to invest money on you? Any strategy you can give us? That's very
Yes,
interesting
yes,
for our
sure.
start.
So first of all, again, to keep everybody updated, typically you don't go to industry for your funding. You go to investors. You go to institutional investors. And when you start raising money, the first set of money is your own friends and family, your own money, etc. to start with, and then you depend on grants, and then you do the first round that is called a angel round. That means from people who have made money, you go to Kiran Mazumdar, you go to Chris Gopalakrishnan, you go to Bagchi, who's doing a great job in your state, right? Shubhrato
To the
Bagchi or
box.
yes, right. Go to such people. You cannot feel shy. Just write to everyone, and then you try to raise that first 500,000 US or 1 million through angels. Then you move your product a little more, and then you go to investors who are called seed investors. So initially, it is your own money. It is grants. Then you go to angel investors who are not organized investors, but people with money, like Ratan Tata, for example, or people like that. Then you go to seed investors who put 1 million, 2 million, right? When for you guys, it's much better than when I started Cellworks and Bugworks. Now, seed investors are regularly calling on companies like yours, particularly if you are based out of the Bangalore ecosystem like C Camp or BBC. But working with Mrityunjay, what I want to suggest here, Mrityunjay, is we have to get the best, most mature companies from KIT to
Yeah.
connect with Able. I'm in Able. And through Able, we arrange a 1-2 hour session with some investors where you guys can present to investors.
Yeah.
The discovery process of investors is very difficult sitting in Bhubaneswar. So partner with people like us, partner with CCamp, BBC, IKP, which is ICICI Knowledge Park. And now the next generation of your work, Mrityunjay, if I may tell you, you've done a phenomenal job in building 1.0. Your
Yeah.
2.0 is to take the best, most mature companies that come out of your incubator and connect them with a little more mature incubators like CCamp to say, Taslim, I don't need your money. But Taslim, whenever investors are coming from the airport into Bangalore and spending a day there, Just give me a 1 hour slot.
Yeah.
So 3 of my companies. This is how we build our ecosystem, right? So the discovery,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, the good news is there are at least 10, 20, 30 small investors who are putting 1 million, 2 million. This is the change in India. Hard to find. You need to connect with people like Mrityunjay, through Mrityunjay, connect with people like myself, Tasneem, Jitendra of BBC, etc. Not because we are more talented than you, just because we are sitting in Bangalore, and Bangalore is the most developed city. So let's not think that we are somehow have greater talents than you. It's like comparing Silicon Valley, San Francisco. If you're in
Yeah.
the Bay Area, there are 500 investors. So you get connected to that network. So that's what the
Oh,
ecosystem is. But this is
thank
an
you.
important suggestion
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
KIT.
Yeah.
In your 2.0 plans, your 2.0 plans has to be, how can I expose my top 10, 20, 30% of my mature startups, whatever
Products.
mature means, to an investor ecosystem?
Yeah.
What are the methods I mean to make that Swayamvar match? That should become enshrined in your 2.0.
Thank you. Thanks for the session. I think you are part of this decision made by Abel now. We requested Abel because, Abel is an army of mentors, investors, people like you. And we don't have people like that in this part of the country. So we reached out to Abel, and I think you were a part of Abel. You all took a decision to establish a satellite center now in KTBI to reach out to our startups. So I think we'll be coming to you very regularly, Anand. But I think one thing you said, yes, it's all about partnership. It's not about only startups going to mentors and all. Even incubators should reach out to the mature incubators or the better
Correct.
incubators to build this partnership.
Yes.
But I think that's a good suggestion. Take a message for me today. One thing you raised today, industry partnership model. And this Fireside chat is organized with the Tech Transfer Office of KTBI. So we feel these are all enablers in our ecosystems. Tech Transfer Office, Technology Enabling Center, IP Office, because startup need all these facilities. Now,
Correct.
you have been working with several startups. Whenever I see Bangalore, I see Dr. Anand in all these places. Now, what is your experience with working with industries for tech transfer activities, and what message you want to give it to our audience today, that how they should feel? Because I think all of them may not establish enterprise. Some of them might get into tech transfer activities. What are your thought process? What are your
Excellent.
message?
Very good. I think you've asked the most important question of this event. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let us understand how a biotech entrepreneur like you can take a product forward. If you have a strong team and you're able to raise a lot of money, then you can think of taking the product all the way to the market yourself, do your manufacturing, supply chain, application engineer, post sales support, reagent support, everything. Not even 1% can go all the way. I know Bugworks, I can't go all the way. I can go up to phase 2. That's when the value inflection happens. Find partners. So for your diagnostic space, your value inflection may be after proof of concept. After you say there's sensitivity, specificity, I got the CDSCO approval, that may be your point, right? For drug discovery, at least phase 1, because safety data is phase 1, phase 2 is some early efficacy. So each one of us has a particular threshold where the value inflection happens. That's when you look for partners, because before that you're giving up too much, you're walking away from too much of money. And if I come in today and I see a very good early idea from Bhubaneswar, I'll say these guys sitting in Bhubaneswar are innocent fellows. Good idea from that group. I can put 100,000, I can put 4 lakhs and buy it off.
Yeah.
That's the world outside. So your tech transfer office's job is to
Yeah.
identify that point of inflection for your companies, to know when the value inflection happens. And value inflection and science inflection are obviously correlated. Point number 1. Point 2, India as a country has done a lousy job in academia industry partnership, including Bugworks. We do a lousy job. My guys don't believe in the Indian academic system. I'll be direct about it. So we have done a lousy job. So I can't blame somebody else. I have to start by blaming myself. However, you can differentiate compared to everybody else through your technology transfer office, Sam and Mrityunjay. I'll tell you how. Including Indian Institute of Science that I worked with, including the IITs I worked with both in my semiconductor life and in my biotech life. It is horrible. It is a black hole. The people sitting in the IP transfer office put so many tough things that said I had to go through so many internal approvals, this, that, with my IP, you can't do this, you can't have foreign ownership. It is lousy. So we said, forget it, man. I can't go into an IISc incubator or any other incubator and license a product. What I want Kit to do is you become the standout. Study the best practices from UCLA, from UC San Diego. Universities like UC San Diego and Purdue have spun out hundreds and hundreds of companies. Mrityunjay, you and I can reach out to Professor Ramasamy, the former CEO of C Camp, who's now number 3 in the Bentley Center of Purdue, to understand the best practices of the technology transfer office. Just choose 2 universities, Purdue in the Midwest and UC San Diego, and we have connections in both. And the best practices there is make life simple for your technology transfer office and for companies. Let's say company you want to come in, here meet company ABC. You can license their IP. You pay a 7% royalty when you make money. And if there is any upfront you want to pay, discuss with the company. So ladies and gentlemen, when you do your IP, it is like making a cookie dough. Don't give up the dough very early. The cake dough doesn't cost much. It tastes very good and we all lick it, but it doesn't cost much. The money is in the final cookie. At least take that dough till that early cookies, smell of that early cookies comes from the oven, right? Then you bring me in and say, see, what a nice aroma. This is my new chocolate chip cookie. You know how to take a cookie and put it in the market. I don't know. But see, I figured out a new way to make an aromatic cookie. At least take it to that level, proof of concept. Then I become interested. And then when you talk to a buyer, be open, because you need to show some success stories before you can get strong and become inflexible. Be very flexible with your technology transfer. In fact, I want Kit working with Able and others to become standard of excellence that says easiest ecosystem in the country to transact with. What I want you guys to take away from today's thing is make yourself as the easiest intellectual property tech transfer office within the biotech ecosystem. Even CCamp is not easy. I had to go through Instem, NCBS, DBT. I said, bloody hell, forget it.
We don't have anything like that, Anand. We have very straightforward one counter.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, when you do an IP transfer to a company like us, typically you can ask for 3 things. Take this down, right? One is some upfront money that says, hey, I put all this effort, I put 5 crores, 6 crores, pay me some money for the journey covered. 2, you pay me a royalty. That means I give you my cookie dough. You make the cookie, put it in that expensive wrapper, have Shah Rukh Khan advertise for it, sell it, make money, give me 7% back. Out of that 7%, 2% goes to the institute, 5% goes to the innovator. As simple as that. Third thing is pay me on milestones. That means my cookie is not ready. I'm only giving you a liquid. When that liquid becomes semi-solid, first milestone. When the semi-solid can enter the oven and the nice aroma comes, second milestone. When the crisp cookie comes out, third milestone. So you can get payments like that. In drug discovery, it is more formal. In diagnostics, maybe relatively easier in putting those milestones. So think about upfront money, royalty, milestone payment, and make the royalty simple so that people come in. It's typically 7 to 9% royalty, and a portion of that goes to the institute. Then you become a very flexible and advertise Kit for innovation and open door policy.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's well said. I'm sure my team is noting down. I think we always promote that non-bureaucracy in all our platforms. Even onboarding startups, they come up in 7 days of time. Once they apply,
Amazing.
they can be in 7 days, or they can be out in 7 days also.
Amazing.
That's good one. I think you've raised a couple of things interesting, because you work on very deep science, technology driven platform, and it needs, I think you must be having a lot of IPs with you.
Yes.
And have you done any IP commercialization activity? But that's a very interesting part of many of our startups or our tech transfer office. So do you have any interesting case to tell us?
Yes. First of all, so again, I would like to layer my answers. I hope Kit has got good IP lawyers like KNS Partners or Lakshmi Kumar and Sons, and I'm sure there are other names in Bhubaneswar. There are 3 or 4 really good companies in India. You have to start working with some of them within India, because filing a biochemistry or microfluidics, this kind of IP, right? Diagnostics, microfluidics, etc., devices, requires very good IP lawyers. And I gave two names because I know those two names. There are others also. But KNS Partners, Lakshmi Kumaran. I worked with KNS in Cellworks, worked with Malati Lakshmi Kumaran in for Bugworks. These are
So
great lawyers.
Malati madam is doing some of the activity with us here.
Excellent. She's phenomenal, and she'll give a great talk to all of you on National
Yes,
Biodiversity Act, NBA, if anybody's working with the
is known for
Indian
that, yeah.
flora fauna. Okay. So in Bugworks, we have IP. We filed IP in India. Actually, the Indian Patent Office has become fantastic in the last 5 to 7 years. It used to be pathetic before that. We have become damn good. So we have to be really proud that we are making some, good changes in this country. It's just not crash and burn. In fact, they asked many more tough questions than even the US Patent Office did sometimes. So we filed in India, then we go to PCT, and then we get the European Patent Office to give objections, give background, etc. And it's very, very expensive. Sitting in Bhubaneswar or sitting in Bangalore, it's not easy for all companies to do too many countries because it's so expensive. So till you've done your fundraiser, only file in India. It's okay, right? Because you get your priority date when you file in India. And when you get your first round of funding, as part of your business plan, when you write your first round of funding to the angel investor or to the seed investor, 10% of that raise should be towards your patent fees. 10 to 15 is that expensive. Because the more quickly you can file in United States or European Patent Office,
The
it's
value
good for
goes up.
you. Where value goes up when you want to do the tech transfer. Tech transfer valuation is directly proportional to how desperate you are and how right. It's a desperometer. If you
Yeah.
have a good IP, filed in India, and then you show that I also have a plan to go to PCT, your valuation becomes higher. Otherwise, for us, there is no valuation in biotechnology, in diagnostics devices. Early stage company valuation is only your IP, your passion, your people, your passion, your patents. 3 Ps: people, passion, patent. Because
No,
we
that's
don't
good
know.
because yeah, that's good. What I think one of our company which is big funded and making some noise globally also, and very homegrown company here itself, from ideas to prototype to now trials now in the market. And he just sent me a message 3 days back that my company is now 570 plus crore valuated, by a third party.
Wow,
So that's a digital
amazing.
health company, and he has built a device, non-invasive device. Even Shraddha Sharma featured him, took very special interview and getting a lot of traction from investors. So I think the one thing I realized, Dr. Anand, from your, or maybe I have seen you since beginning when I've joined KIT, leadership is very important, and you are the right guy who could bring in this, authentic corporate leadership program. And I'll be requesting you to give some lights to our audience today, that how do you bring this creative thinking among your members, your colleagues, because I see my colleagues are not, they're doing very classical work, right? They're doing good, but if they think differently, a creative thinking, all of them, most of them, I think company is going to grow to next level. What are your thoughts, messages on that?
Okay. I think, the fact that I had international exposure helped a lot, Nitinjay, and I don't expect everybody to
No,
have.
no, you are too good. You
Um,
are too good. But I'll think how you disseminate to your colleagues and why do they accept
oh,
that?
no, no, I'm not too good. First of all, I take your compliments with great humility. Um, I think the team that you put together, I found that 90% of the science companies I mentor don't have good teams. They have very good scientists, but they don't have good teams. It all starts with the first three people who come together to form the company, two people or three people, or
Yeah.
maximum four. I hope you have one person who can envision. She is the visionary. One person who's a execution, right? That means purely focused on execution, and one person focused on networking and fundraising. If these three parameters don't, all my startups I look for in my co-founders are these three. One person is an absolute visionary, can say we're going to build a broad spectrum antibiotic not done since 1960s
Mhm.
and help humanity for time to come. Sounds like a crazy, audacious goal, but it takes that kind of audacity to do the kinds of things we're trying to do here. One person says, don't disturb me. I'm only execution focused, patent filing, work at tech transfer office, hiring, execution. And one person is outward focused, not inward focused. If you don't have those three energies coming together, then you will be weak on one way or the other. right? And the other area of weakness is intellectual property. Our companies, they delay filing IP. They don't spend enough money working with the right legal team for IP. Your IP frameworks, financial due diligence, and run your company as if you are Ambani running Reliance. From
Right.
day one, I'm very, very fastidious. But that my paperwork for the finances, company law, all this ROC, all this bullshit, but you still do it perfectly. Run your company with financially, and the ethics is uncompromising. You
Yeah.
have to treat your company that you're running a public company, ladies and gentlemen. And when you have that kind of respect, that energy percolates to the rest of the team to say, oh my God, even a travel voucher, this fellow's a pain. He wants it to be properly
Yeah.
filed. Then when your investors come to do due diligence, you have a good chance of getting through the due diligence. Don't do it after the fact. So it's team composition, having one person who's totally outward focused, focusing on IP from day one, and running your company as if it's a public listed company. These are some of the ideas to build that kind of company that is investable and valuable.
Oh, so great. I think that's a good, I think this is what the best mentoring I feel is called authentic mentorship program, where you bring in a lot of these recipes. I say one thing, I think you have been talking all positive things, like how you build, because I have never heard, you talking about what challenges you have faced. I want to know today for my audience benefit that every journey has got some challenges too, and how smartly you could mitigate, how could,
Right.
solve those things. Can you please
Right.
tell us?
So while you have to be extremely positive and passionate to be in this area because it's so tough, it's filled with landmines waiting to blow up on the face. You also have to be pragmatic. I mean, I've had lots of sleepless nights in Cellworks, and I continue to do in Bugworks because even today, it's not easy for me to raise funding in Bugworks. I have to be humble about it because we're sitting in India and we're competing in Boston and Bay Area and London and Tel Aviv, and we don't have enough funders here. The biggest challenge for me, at least, going through Cellworks and Bugworks journey is fundraising.
Yeah.
Fundraising from India is not easy. I've become a CBO, Chief Begging Officer. So you have to go with a begging bowl and
That's the
really
new nomenclature
go.
now.
Right, I'm a CBO, not a CEO. I went around the world and built networks, which for fundraising networks. And I'm happy to share that with Kit when I come to visit you guys on a whiteboard, right? How we go about it. There are no easy answers. But fundraising, keeping the same energy and momentum with all your stakeholders. Remember, when the moment you take $1 from me, I am a stakeholder. How do I keep that passion flowing with all my co-founders, my employees, and everybody who believed in me and put 1 rupee in me? It's very tough. You have to be a Pied Piper and playing this pipe for years.
Yeah.
7 years, 10 years in our journey. Now I'm in seventh year of Bugworks. I probably have another 5 years to go before we can really take something to market. So it's a 12-year journey. So really, guys, don't get into this if you don't have it. In diagnostics, you don't need 12 years. You're probably still looking at a good 5 to 7 years to create a good diagnostics company, right? Definitely not 12 years. So that passion that co-founding team has to be committed. Otherwise, don't do it. And fundraiser is the toughest thing, and regulatory challenges. Right now, we're going to do a phase one trial. I'm losing sleep. I don't know whether phase one will succeed. If it doesn't, I have to go back to the whiteboard and lose
Yeah.
another 2 years in the process. It's just inherent in science. I don't know what else to say except that there are lots of challenges, but go with a smiling face and say, I'm going to, counter it and reach out to people who have
Yeah.
failed like me. While they introduced me, they said, I've done this. Nobody captures the number of failures I've had, right? I've had equal number of failures to successes, but I've learned a lot more from my failures, right? And don't be afraid
It's
to
well
fail.
said.
In India, your generation is great, much better than my generation, right? In my generation, man, you have to succeed. Failure is not an option. Now it's okay. We can get up, brush and move on. Investors like people who have failed and who are ready to talk about, say, I tried it, it didn't work out. I learned from it, I'm here. It's okay. So these are good times.
And that's what sometimes investors ask, even startup, how many cases you have failed, and they take positive note out of that. That's good. I think
Exactly.
there's a positive vibe. And then
Yes.
one thing before, I know there are a
Yes.
couple of questions coming from my side,
Yes.
and we have time.
Yes.
We have some more
Yes.
questions, but I think this is good
Yes.
enough. a priming session for our startups to really listen about you. Sam, I think questions.
Some
Can you
questions are coming,
please
right?
ask? There'll be questions for you, and Sam is going to ask you on behalf of the participant.
Should I read out the question? I can see the question here. Should I go through the
That'd be great.
questions?
If you
Okay.
don't mind.
All right. Hi, Shrika. Good morning. This is Anand. You're saying great conversation. Couple of questions to Anand. Any specific reason for Bugworks being a US as well for its fundraising? Okay. To also understand Bugworks early seed from Baxter. Should we know how to went about it? Shrika. Okay, great. Shrika, two questions. First question is, I am very biased. I feel companies out of India, the company law was so horrible when I started Cellworks and even Bugworks that it's very hard to get investors from globally who somehow think India is not easy to work with. So we started it as a US company. But be careful. The moment you set up your company as a US operation, you lose all DBT funding. So initial years, so what you do, initial years, it's good to be an Indian company, work with the Indian ecosystem, take it to POC, and then in order to do fundraising and tech transfer, you can incorporate in Singapore or US. But from that point onwards, you are not eligible for any Indian funding. So it's a small secret I share with you. Not everybody requires a company in US. Times have become much better than 7-10 years ago. Today, if I was going to start a company, I will think twice before I do it as a US. Point number one. We got the funding from US government and other governments primarily for our science and because we have a US presence. Somehow they feel that you are a more transparent company, which is complete BS, but that's how the world is. They think, oh, if you're in America, your ROC work will be pakka, you can't do any jugad, and you're a good company, and your IP is held in US. So valuation of the company goes up when you're a US headquartered or Singapore headquartered company. Not required for everybody, but since you asked. Point two, Baxter. Look at this. Baxter is a devices company. They should be very interested in what Kit is doing. But Kiran Mazumdar, because I convinced her to put the first seed investor in me, called me one day and said, Baxter is visiting Biocon. Can you come? I said, no. I said, Baxter, I'm drug discovery. Baxter is doing IV bags and syringes, and they're in devices. But I still went grudgingly. We did a great presentation to the CSO of Baxter, and he says, although we are not in antibiotics, I want to invest 1 million in you because I believe in your team. And he put the first 1 million in us. So take every opportunity to pitch to people. And what Kit will do as we move forward is thrice a year, or 4 times a year, maybe we can organize workshops in Hyderabad, Bangalore, where your most mature companies can come, spend a day and pitch to investors because you never know what happens, right? So those are my answers to your question.
Thank you. Any more questions, Sam? I think I don't see any question there.
Yes,
no, I mean
there's a question.
Yeah.
Filing, this is from Ashutosh. Hi, Ashutosh. Filing IP in foreign countries is expensive, but TT value increases based on how to cope with this contradiction. Correct. It's very expensive. Do not do it till you get your seed investment, as I told you, right? And then plan for 10 to 12% of your seed investment to go for patent. So when you make a business plan proposal and you come to me for 1 million, and you say after 1 million, $100,000 is for patenting abroad, then I know you're serious. Somehow I wake up and think, wow, this chap knows what he's talking about. He's going to file it abroad. He's got plans. He or she has got plans. So don't file abroad in initial days. You will burn out. Do it only during a formal seed funding.
Yeah. Good. I think any more questions? I think you don't have questions, Sam?
No.
No, good.
There are a couple of very basic questions. If we have
fine. I think that is fine.
I have time. No problem. If you guys have the time, please go ahead.
One thing, Anand, from my side, what is next? I know you have talked about possibilities and you have talked about uncertainties in terms of getting that molecule in the market, right? And you see a lot of money has to be raised, not possible in India. That's why you're going here and there, including US.
Yes.
So what is next?
Okay.
Do you have all sleepless nights, or you have got all good?
I wish I could. By the way, once you start a company, particularly in biotech, it's 24/7. Even if you're not physically in the lab running an assay or something, your whole thought process for me morning to night is, Bugworks, right? So you become it. You become it, as they say. I hope to raise a large round of funding, Mrityunjay, and I'm trying to bring one of the largest investors in the world into India.
Oh,
If
wow.
if we are successful, and this investor invests in us, it opens the doors for others. Our job as Bugworks is not just looking after Bugworks. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste my time with Able or meet wonderful people like all of you. It is to try our best to open up some pathways for others to come. That is success. That is building an ecosystem. You're not only and you guys in KIT in Bhubaneswar, you're not only building your careers. You're not just building a company. You're building pathways for future. I mean, such a responsible job we all have because biotech is so nascent. Everybody wants to put money in Dunzo. Everybody wants to put money in Car Deco,
Yeah.
not in some complex diagnostics you're going to do for next generation SARS-CoV-2. Who
Yeah.
cares? So what next is this ecosystem is changing. New investors are coming in. We brought the Japanese, and Japanese investors are now looking at interesting ideas in diagnostics. We brought the South Africans inside. We means the ecosystem brought it in. Now we're trying to bring one of the largest private equity partners in the world into India. These are good days, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like 5 years ago, right? You can talk to people, you can be connected to at least 5 investors. They may not invest in you, but at
Yeah.
least you don't have to sit there saying, I'm in Bhubaneswar, who is going to find me? You don't need to ask that question.
Yeah. So there's one questions coming from again Asutosh. Gratitude for the chat. Can you comment on how network is Bugworks with other drug discovery companies in India?
GT,
Like,
beautiful question. We are pathetically networked because of the following reason. In India, pharmaceutical companies primarily driven by generics, and we are outstanding in generics, and then from small molecules, we move to biosimilars. India still doesn't have a vibrant early stage drug discovery community. There may be small pockets of excellence in Origin, Dr. Reddy's, small pockets of excellence in Glenmark, but by and large, it's not there. Number two, when is the last time you knew of a success story of a company from India that sold its asset or went public? Nothing. So the big companies are saying, why should I take a risk in Bugworks? I don't know if Bugworks will succeed. So let me wait to see if they complete phase one. Let me wait to see if they do phase two and then see if I can partner with it. So it goes both ways. Lack of culture of doing innovative work, except 3 or 4 companies, including us. Second is lack of success stories, right? Until some success stories happen in drug discovery, why should the big pharmaceutical companies like Cipla or Sun Pharma come and invest into innovation? I don't blame them. That's why you and I need to make that happen.
yeah. Well, so that's really interesting. And anything, okay, so
Yes, this is a very important question that Brunmai is asking. Actually, a very important question. Chance of academician becoming a successful entrepreneur. So let me tell for the KIT audience, the best companies in America that come out of
no,
Cambridge.
Anand, but this audience has come from Bangalore to to Kashmir to Patna, right?
Okay,
Everybody's here.
sorry, but I said this audience. It's a
Yeah.
very important question, right? This your generation, I feel it's awesome for academicians to spin out companies, but don't expect to take your company out all the way. What you can do is come out with a new idea, show proof of concept, and look for other companies like Bugworks or even bigger than Bugworks to partner. We have to create that environment of partnering. So if able, or like I said, if Mrityunjay works with 2.0, 2.0, you work with other incubators. A good academician out of Orissa or Jammu does some good work. You have a chance of selling that IP or co-developing that IP with others. But for a professor to work full time as an academician and to create a company, not easy, not impossible, but not easy.
Good. There's one question, Anand, that, hello, sir, we are developing a chemical as protease inhibitor. We have filed a patent, I think Indian patent probably, and got a big grant, fine. Prototype is developed, so proof of concept is there. How to take it to the next level?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could answer it. I'm not smart enough to answer that question. If you would please email it to me, I will ask my knowledgeable science colleagues to opine on it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. And Good. I think the next one for me, any important message you want to give? Because right now, if you look at the whole India and you come from Abul, you have all statistics now. How many incubator? How many startups? How many getting better? Getting private equity fund? So, what important message you want to give to this next generation entrepreneur in all this perspective? Because I think people are misguided or they are not self-driven, like you said. You have to drive yourself. You have to 24/7. So I think that is missing. What important message you want to give it to our next gen entrepreneurs?
Yeah. The most important message I want to give is please be willing to go for the 7 to 10 year journey. Otherwise, don't do it. Many people start startups, Mrityunjay, somehow thinking that they have a good idea, and because they want the big 50 lakhs for 18 months, that they can start a company. Please, that's a very misguided thing. Big is just one of the support systems. It is not everything. So please be ready to have a 7 to 10 year focus. Two, reach out to all over India to look for co-founders who come other than your own background.
Yeah.
Don't get the same set of people. I'm telling you again and again, most companies fail because they're only run by scientists or only run by marketing people. You need that combination.
Combo.
Because combo, exactly right. It's two sides of the same coin. Number three, as I said, in your founding team, one person has to network, beg, ecosystem. Get your company connected to ecosystem, right? And it's not easy, but at least I'm sharing with you that from day one, you tell in my co-founding group who's going to focus on connecting my company to the ecosystem. Four, through your technology transfer office, KIT and other incubators need to start showing some success stories, even if the money is little. Some early stage IP got picked up by uh,
Big names.
by Roche, by Reliance, by Sun Pharma. Some we have to start showing some transactions of co-development partnerships. Five, big pharmaceutical companies and big diagnostics companies in this country need to know about you. So you need to sit back and say, okay, which are the five biggest diagnostic companies? Okay, ThyroCare, SRL Ranbaxy, Anand Diagnostics, XYZ. Do anybody know that KIT is working on these diagnostics? The answer may be a no. Come up with a plan. The technology transfer officer, Sam and team have to then say, how is SRL Ranback? How do I approach the CEO of SRL Ranback? Now ThyroCare is owned by PharmEasy.
Yeah.
This PharmEasy, that one, right? That PharmEasy, right? They own, right? How do I connect with PharmEasy? Okay, discovery. Don't only focus on science, but focus on how will someone know that KIT has this gem of an idea in diagnostics. It's easier for health IT compared to hardcore life sciences and deep sciences. But please think about who is going to know about you and who's talking about your ideas. That's my submission.
Good. I think thank you. We have one lead now coming up. Sun Pharma is doing the due diligence process, going to put a big money on that company. Let's see, because it takes time. I think you reach out to them, they come, oh my God, this is sometimes you have to buy a couple of pair of shoes just to reach out to them, right? It takes
Absolutely
time.
correct. Absolutely correct.
But
And
what I
I
understood,
also, sorry,
yeah. Sorry, please.
I was just saying, a lot of youngsters ask me when they start
Yeah.
company, what about valuation? Please forget this concept that is my company. I'll just be very honest with you guys. I own hardly 11% of Bugworks today. Okay, and I haven't even done a Series C funding. So by the time I've done a Series C funding and get to any exit, I'll be lucky to have 3 to 4%. That's the world average, 3 to 4% of the company. In diagnostics, you'll be lucky to have 7 to 9%. Drug discovery is 3 to 4%. So the concept of it's my company, am I diluting, etc., you need to come out of that. That's an olden day thought process that I'm a proprietor, I own the company. Now, in your journey, you need many investors, you need many collaborators, you need many advisors. You'll be giving your shares to a lot of people. So think of the world as your stage. Think
Yeah.
of you as just one piece that's enabling something. It is not just my company. It's a very important concept to get into your mind.
Good. I think somebody asking, can you also approach companies which are MNCs, and would they be open to buying or licensing IP from academic inventors?
Absolutely, yes. MNC doesn't care whether you're an academic or you're a startup company. They want a differentiated product which has proof of concept, and they want to see some IP. That means at least a patent filing in India, which looks good early. The publication of the patent has happened at least, right? That's all they're looking at. And as I said, the 2.0, even for CCamp, for KIT, for IKP, for Venture Center Pune, etc., is this: is how to make MNCs aware of the diagnostic company in Bhubaneswar. That is the most important essence. All of us come together, we work together, able to connect with you all to say, hey, I have 4 companies doing high throughput diagnostics for next generation, blah, 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 whatever, antiviral. How do I make Roche aware of you? How do I make Becton Dickinson aware of you? Right? Let's work towards that. And today's ecosystem allows for that. So we should be happy about that. It's not impossible.
Thank you. Thank you. I think out of curiosity, if it's not very confidential, out of 18 million you raised from the private equity fund, how much coming from Indian side?
Great question. Out of the 18 million I raised, including angel everything, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Hardly 1 million from India.
Hardly 1 million. Okay. Good.
So that shows, now, of course, we started the company in 2014. If I had started the company today, maybe instead of 1, it would have been 4, but it still wouldn't have been 18.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. I think if no more questions, and you all heard, Anand is very different kind of speaker. He doesn't only speak, he speaks from the heart and with a lot of passion, lot of impact. And he's a man with positivity. Always I have seen positivity, possibilities, and he never talks about, of course, there are a lot of challenges he must be having and he's going to have in future. But his smiling face with 24/7 strategy, I think he brings right team into action, see that he's growing, he's building his next path for excellence or towards success. So Anand, I think, this is 1 hour is too less for you, but targets, timelines are very, very important. And what I'll be requesting, as you have already offered from your side, the personal end, and also from Abel's side, how we could build a cohort from here who are doing good. They've raised $1 million, $1.5 million now for next. What is the path? That's I call 2.0 plan from our side. And you will find exciting technology coming up, but again, the right team building. This is a problem in many places, including your places maybe, and not in your company, but maybe in Bangalore. I think companies are doing okay, technology perspective, but the path building may not be very clear for them to pitch for everybody to accept it. I think with that,
I think you're so right. And all the scientist people I used to meet, they used to make fun of people who work in business development, finance, and sales. When you start your own startup, you realize that it's probably much harder than science. Science, at least you have control, you're enjoying in your little cabin. But when you start putting something together, it's super complex and you need other people's money in your journey. But we'll do it together.
I want to learn from you personally, as a Mrityunjay, as a CEO of KTBI, because that will be a great learning. You focus on technology, science, deep technology, not even technology. And then you also talk about more financials, corporate leadership, creative thinking. I think you are a balanced person who can really make Bugworks a big Bugworks company. I think we wish you all the best. And we
Thank you so much.
People have learned. I have already getting now WhatsApp messages, so many, how to show you. People have started, he is outstanding, he's different class. So I think Anandji, I'll be requesting especially send me in WhatsApp. How can you bring, may not be the Anand, the next one, but somebody who Anand can recommend, really talk to our people in a very simple, in a very, authentic way. It's not like confusing people, straightforward.
Exactly. There is a good speaker called Dhananjay Paturi who runs Achira.
Yeah, I know him.
He also, don't bring any speaker who speaks in very complex Harvard language now. We don't need all that stuff, right? It has to be from the heart. It has to be simple things because this is not big complex words. So he's a good speaker and he comes from the diagnostic side. So he'll also be able to relate to your focus. Microfluidics, exactly right. And I'm looking forward to coming there. I promise you that post-pandemic, when I can travel, I also want to come and visit your phenomenal city and go to all the beautiful monuments, etc., and come and learn what you guys are doing and make me part of your 2.0 solution.
Oh, that is great. I think you are offering really the great thing which you thought will not be easy for you to help us. But I think we want Bangalore to be now in Bhubaneswar. We want Anandkumar to be now in Bhubaneswar,
No, no. A
right?
lot of
And
good people.
we can achieve. Let's build Bangalore Bhubaneswar corridor through our technology
Exactly.
transfer platform, right?
I think this is great, right? And you know Jitendra well in BBC, you
Oh
know
yes,
Nasreen
yes,
well. So
yes, yes.
we all come together. Everybody wants everyone to come together. So wonderful meeting you. Thank you, and Sam,
Thank you,
setting
Anand.
this
Thank
up.
you. A big round
And
of applause for your presence here. It's very
thank you very much.
motivating.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone, and thanks to Sam, and thanks to all my colleagues.
Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
have,
Stay safe.
yeah,
Yeah.
before we switch off, I have a couple of things to everyone.
Sure,
If we
Sam.
could all switch on our cameras for a picture for the
Sure.
memory.
That's awesome.
People can switch on their camera. Oh yes, some of them are in dark.
All right.
Good. I think that's enough.
Nice. Pleasure meeting
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thanks everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Anand.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, bye.
And please, everyone, fill up the feedback form so we could make it better next time. If not, it was already.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining the session today. Goodbye.